believers and make-believers. In today's video, I am doing the end of the year book tag. This tag was originally created by Ariel Bissett in 2017, but I figure it works for every year, so she did it for 2018, but I'm doing it for 2019. It feels so funny doing a tag. I haven't done a tag in a while. Question 1 is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I'm quite strict with books. When I start reading them, I tend to finish them. Even if I'm not enjoying them that much, I kind of force myself to finish them just because, you know, I started it, so I need to finish it, because goals, man, goals. But there is one book, however, that I have about 50 pages left, which is so silly, and I do intend to read them. But basically, you know me with my 3 books a month deal, so it was coming to the end of the month, I was running out of time, and I was just like, you know what? I already know how it ends. It was on it's called the denouement, and when you write it, it's like literally you've done the climax, you know exactly how it ends, and it's just the nice little bow that wraps it up. And with this story in particular, I already know how it wraps up because, okay, it's Heartless. So I read Heartless not long ago, a couple of months ago, and I really enjoyed it, but it did seem to drag in some parts. I think I mentioned that in my wrap-up. So basically, it was getting pretty long. I'd already done the climax. I knew what happened. I knew what was going to happen next, and obviously because it's Heartless, it's based on Alice in Wonderland, the Queen of Hearts, so I was like, okay, well, I already know what's going to happen and I'm running out of time. I need to read this next book before the end of the month, so I stopped it and said I'd go back to it, but I haven't gone back to it yet, and it's been about 2 months, but I do intend to finish the last 50 pages, or maybe it's 70 pages, before the end of this year. Question 2 is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I do not. I am not a seasonal reader whatsoever. I literally read anything, anywhere, anytime. Are any of you guys seasonal readers and have a winter book and a summer book and a spring book to help you transition with the seasons? Maybe because I live in Dubai actually as well. It's always warm, it's always sunny, which is really nice. Now winter is the best time because it's not too hot to go outside, but otherwise, I mean, literally Dubai is hot and very hot, so I guess we don't really have the seasons, so the reason to read a seasonal book is also kind of moot. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? Yes and no. So it is a new release, however, it's already released, but I am still waiting to get it, which is very unlike me, but I like this series. I'm definitely gonna get this book, but it's not compelling me as much. So basically that is Kingdom of Ash from the Throne of Glass series. So I love that series. I'm really excited to see how it ends and what happens next. However, till this day, I think this is number 7 in the series, and the first 2 are my favorites. So Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight are my favorites in the series. So I've read the other books, I've enjoyed them, but none more than the first 2. So I do definitely plan to read Kingdom of Ash, and I definitely want to find out how the series ends, and I definitely want to continue this exciting journey with everybody. But I've got so many other books on my shelf that actually kind of I want to read more. So I will get Kingdom of Ash at some point, hopefully this year, but yeah, I'm more excited to read The Darkest Minds That Lasted, Iron Gold, and all those things that are on my shelf already. Question 4 are, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I have way more than 3 books that I want to read before the end of the year, and I'm gonna have to go through them because of course I only have time to read 3 more books before the end of the year based on December's TBR reading goals. I am deciding between 3 books because they're all pretty long, so I have to pick one of them. So I will definitely read one of these 3 books, which is either Iron Gold, War Storm, or The Darkest Minds, which I just mentioned as well that I'm more excited to read. So definitely one of those 3 books, but probably not all 3 of those books before the end of the year because they're all really thick. I also want to read Dorothy Must Die, but I'm gonna see how my mood is when December strikes, because yeah, I go by page lengths and all these things, and maybe I'm gonna try and fit in 2 thick books of my list. There's also Tower of Dawn, which I really want to read, which is Chaol, which is another thing with the Throne of Glass series. I think I love Chaol, Selena, Dorian, like the early stuff, so I'm really looking forward to reading Tower of Dawn more than Kingdom of Ash as well, but again, that's a beast of a book, so we'll see how I go, but yeah. Question 5, is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? So far, a book that did shock me was Reaper at the Gates. I knew that I loved Sabaa Tahir's series, I knew that I loved the characters, I knew that I cared, but so far, Reaper at the Gates could quite easily be definitely a top favorite of 2018. So that one has already shocked me, and I love it, and it's skyrocketed to the top of my list, or at least in the top 3 of my favorite books of this year. However, books that I haven't read yet, like I say, I'm really thinking I'm probably going to read Warstorm or The Darkest Minds in December, and I feel like one of those two, or both of them, could definitely shock me and become a favorite read of mine. And the 6th and final question is, have you started making reading plans for 2019? Yes, nothing concrete, but like I said, there's these books on my shelf that I want to read, so I definitely have plans to read at least, well, all of them really, in 2019. And I would like to, although I say this every year, but I would really like to finish Game of Thrones. That is a book that I started last year, I think, and I read it every now and then I put it down and I read it every now and then. It's kind of one of those ones that I've made my peace that I will not start and finish it in the same month just because of my reading schedule and my, Goodreads reading goals, so I don't even put it on that I'm reading it. It's just something that I go back to as and when I can, but I'm hoping that next year I will be able to finish. And that is all for the end of year book tag, and now on to another fun, juicy announcement, at least for me and my readers, is that the 5th book in the Last Elentrice series, well, 4th book if you don't include the novella, is out today! And that is When Waves Collide. And yes, that is all for today. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you like all my other videos, then please consider subscribing. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye!